Who am I going to be in the future that God is calling me to be? What is my mission going to be in life? And therefore, what is the type of partner I need? What's the type of character I need so that I can fulfill my mission? That gave me a different perspective on how to go about dating.
If you don't define what you guys really are, and if you're not intentional, you're gonna hurt the woman. You're gonna leave them hanging, you're gonna leave them confused. If you're intentional, you really like a person, but make sure that you're ready. You tell them, don't make them guess.
Intentional dating is really important because it's setting you up for your future. I have to have the right questions because I'm trying to get to know this person as a potential partner in life. But the dating scene, it has to have purpose. It has to have a goal. Otherwise, you're playing games.
Before we continue, our team showed us this, and I think you're going to find it really interesting. 80% of our viewers so far have not yet subscribed. I want you to give us just really quickly a little time to share. This channel is not made for us. It's not made so that we can become famous. This channel was designed specifically to impact Filipino young men and one day impact the Philippines as a whole. And so maybe this is the only episode you've seen. Maybe you are following our episodes. But I know for sure that you want to see change happen in our nation. And so the one small thing you can do that will literally take you only 1 second to click down here is to subscribe to our channel. That's going to help us push this video and our channel to more Filipino men who actually want to grow their character. And I promise you one thing, if you click that subscribe button, we will show up every single week to come up with the best content, transformative content, and offer authentic mentorship so that we can do our small part in changing this country. And clicking this button down here is your small part in helping changing this country as well. Now let's get back to the episode. Welcome back to No Man Left Behind, the #1 podcast for Filipino men.
And today we're gonna be talking about modern dating, for men. So dating apps, matches, endless options. It's supposed to be easier to find someone now more than ever. But why is it actually harder for people to commit? More options were supposed to make this easier. Instead, it just made us more afraid of choosing. So today we're going to be asking, how should a man actually date in this day and age? And for today, we are going to be answering the top asked questions when it comes to modern day dating. So number 1, how much does social media or Instagram affect how people date and present themselves? Number 2, why is everyone burned out on dating apps? 3, what should a man do if they want to date intentionally? Number 4, why won't anyone make the first move anymore? 5, why does everyone ghost or breadcrumb instead of just being honest? And lastly, what is a situationship? And why does everyone seem stuck in one? No. So, very, very interesting. Because obviously, it's different how people dated before without technology. And me personally, I was like we were mentioning prior to this episode, I was a seasoned veteran when it comes to the dating apps. And the intention of dating apps is to meet more people, to make it more accessible, which is true. But I realized that with more options, one effect that it personally had in me was that I started to look at people more like options, and I was not contented. Like I had to doubt myself if this person who I really like is really the best one. So I think we can move on to the first question. No? Oh, but before that, the interesting statistics, of course, that we want to read is number 1, 78% of Gen Z report feeling emotionally, mentally, or physically exhausted by dating apps. And this is the highest of any age group. And the second statistic is only 11% of Gen Z couples who ended up together actually met through an app. The others still met through friends, school, or work. So imagine, only 11%. And you spend so much time scrolling, updating your profile. So
I think a lot of people, like based on the statistics, are getting tired of dating apps because, like what you mentioned, it makes you feel disposable. At least that's what the studies show. And I personally have never used dating apps, but I know a lot of people who do. And I'm sure part of it is because, well, one, the pandemic, right? When the pandemic happened, all of a sudden you can't just go out to meet people. So I'm sure there was a growth in terms of usage during that period of time. But also, I think it's because it's a lot more intimidating to just walk up to strangers or trying to meet new people and then asking them out on a date. And so, at least an app, you don't really have to do as much work and you already talk to the ones who liked your profile also.
Right. So it's a less confidence. You don't really need to muster up that courage to go up to a person,
Yeah, kasi
introduce
your
yourself.
photo does the talking, your bio does the talking.
But what do you think is the effect of that? Like to have that, like when people rely mainly on social media when they want to meet a particular person.
Well, personally for me, I think it removes a very large portion of the interaction between people. Because no one's gonna put all of their red flags on their bio.
Right.
No one's gonna show their worst photos. And so you just see a curated version of them and you express a curated version of yourself. But a lot of how we read people is also not just based on how they look, but how they present themselves, the quality of the conversations. And so I think people tend to focus now more on the image rather than the substance of who they are. But that's just my opinion.
Right. What do you do?
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel so OP, in this because it's like I'm a fish out of water here. I've never been to a dating app. I've never even thought about it. By the time it came out, I was already married, right? Happily. And that was never our style in my generation. We actually went out there and talked to women. We would, whether it's in parties or wherever, whatever social gathering, or maybe friend of a friend, one of your friends will say, I'm going to bring my friend along. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Or, I have a friend and she doesn't have a date. Can you be the date for her? Stuff like that. And we actually get to talk to a live human being as opposed to something that's on your phone, right? Or your laptop or something. So this is really strange territory for me. I don't know if I've much to say in this episode because it's very foreign to me, honestly.
Yeah, but don't worry because we need your wisdom when it comes to what it actually means to date intentionally. Because I think a lot of men, they, again, like we mentioned, not all of them have that mentor to ask, like, how is it really to date someone? Like for example, for you, you had your parents
Yeah.
that you can run to,
Yeah.
right, and ask. But based on my personal experience, and I think I can relate with the statistic. No, like when if you're using the dating apps, and I think one thing that causes that burnout is that especially if you're, how do I say this? I'm trying to say it as nice as possible.
Don't.
But like if you feel like, you've been in this app for so long, you've been swiping for so long, you've changed your profile picture countless times and still none. Like you've had these conversations with a lot of people, but nothing seems to stick. And then you just end up, ay wag na lang. Baka hindi talaga ako pang date. Baka hindi ako husband or wife material. And then you get burned out, right?
No, I think because like even in my time when we would go out and meet girls, right, get to talk to them, I don't remember ever feeling like I'm getting burned out of this. But I think part of the reason why people, this is just my opinion because I've never done this, right? But I'm just guessing that part of the reason why perhaps people might feel burnt out is because there's such there's such a tremendous amount of pressure to present your best side, and that's tiring because you cannot always walk with your best side. Best foot forward, right? So you have your right foot. Try walking with your right foot in front all the time, right? It's hard. That's not a normal walk. The left foot has to go also ahead of your right foot. And so we are a product, or we are a combination of good traits and traits that need to improve. Presenting one side is, well, for the lack of a better term, is fake. It's fake. It might be true of you, like you really have this good side, but it's not all of you. And so presenting that and then hoping that they somehow don't discover the bad side of you, that's, I think, what causes the burnout. And so it's not easy. I'm guessing that's what makes it very tiring.
Yeah, and I think that resonates with the first question, no? Na, of course, in social media, and this is just a thought na I realize going through the social media era, no one will really admit their true state in social media, no? Like you would not, well, not everyone naman, but oftentimes, you will not post there that you're depressed, you're broke, and, all of these things, right? So you
And then date me.
and then you date me. Date me. And
Yeah.
people are so good at pretending. Diba? You can always, pwede mo naman daanin sa confidence yan eh. Diba? Which I I did. I did. And it bit me back. Like it destroyed a lot of potential relationships. Yeah. What about you? What do you think about that putting your best foot forward?
Well, personally, um, when we're talking about modern dating, I think since it says that only 11% of people actually end up together when it comes to dating, using dating apps rather. But I think even just the term dating has been, maybe the lack of a better term, misunderstood by the younger generations. Because most people, and I'm guilty of this also now, as much younger. We don't even ask people out on dates. I mean, I don't know how many people have actually said that specific phrase, which is, "Would you go out on a date with me?" Typically, most boys say, "You wanna hang out? You wanna see a movie? You wanna have dinner?" And so even that stage is so unclear, not only to the person you're asking out, but even for the person who is asking. That's why we have terms like situationships. I mean, imagine we had to create a new term. Although there was already MU,
Yeah.
mutual understanding.
No, I think it's misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding.
That's appropriate. That fits. Yeah.
Right? So we don't really know what exactly is dating. When am I actually considered dating a person? And how do I even start getting into a date in the first place? And I used to struggle with that also growing up because I didn't want to get into a serious relationship. And so I didn't really know how to go about it. I just stick with MUs. I just ask them out if they want to hang out with a group setting or in terms of one-on-one. But I was never clear about my intentions because it was also unclear to me in my mind. Right? And I think that might be possibly also why some people are burning out, even outside of the dating app. Because we see Hollywood and what relationships look like, how this, for the women at least, this knight in shining armor comes into the picture. And then all of a sudden you start dating here in the real world. And I think a lot of people end up feeling frustrated because it doesn't live up to the fantasies that we have in our minds. And so we give up.
That's true. That's true. It's there's I guess a tremendous, or there's an element of fear as well, But even in my day, we didn't really say, "Would you like to go out on a date with me?" We'll say like, "I'd like to take you out to dinner," But if it's one on one, it's understood that it's a date, and sometimes it's with a group, so it's less intimidating. Maybe it's like her friend will be included, and maybe the boyfriend of that friend, right? It helps a little bit with the intimidation factor. At least there are two other people there with you. It's not going to be awkward, especially if there's silence. See, because maybe these other two, they're a couple already,
Right.
so they're more, it's not like getting to know you and stuff like that. and there's no awkward silence.
Mm.
So that's kind of what helped us also. But yeah, we were more. I think we were a little bit more intentional in making our intentions known.
Yeah.
Like we don't say it like I'm interested in you, but if I ask you out, then it's like I do want to get to know you more. And if we go out a couple more times, then maybe I'm interested enough. And if you say yes, then maybe you're interested enough in me also that we could take this to the next level. Otherwise, that will be the first and last date. But at least we're still friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I just want to add really quickly because I realized I didn't really answer your question about the best foot forward.
Yeah.
I think originally with my previous relationships, I was always best foot forward. Although I was really broken and immature inside, especially my first bad experience with a relationship, knowing what it's like to get cheated on. And so I would always start with the best foot forward, and then things would fall apart. And so when I started courting my girlfriend now, Bianca, I mean, I shared my red flags. I shared the
Interesting.
things that I'm ashamed of, the things that are still broken in me, the things that I still need to change. Because in my mindset, I was already thinking, like, you know what? I really like this woman, but I don't want her to fall for me just because of an image that I'm trying to create. Because I was too afraid to lose her. If I was to start dating her, I didn't want her to see the real side of me, which I can't hide forever. And then she decides to leave me.
Right.
So out of the fear, I showed all of my cards and said, this is who I am. Because I would rather be rejected for who I really am than be accepted for someone I'm not actually living out in my private life. And so that's what I did. And there is a sense of, I think, freedom when she accepted me and still chose me in spite of all of my flaws. And that, I think, was something that I found liberating. But at the same time, I think part of the reason why she still accepted me was because, yes, I was broken in these different areas of my life, but I showed her that I had the heart to grow, that I was intentional about growth, and I was intentional about healing from those areas. And so it became a lot easier for us. It wasn't always easy, but it became easier for us to work on my insecurities because I already laid it out. As opposed to in the past, I don't share my insecurities. It just leaks out through certain ways.
Yeah.
But then I won't admit, oh no, this is coming from this area.
Yeah.
I'm acting like this because of this. This is what happened to me. But when I exposed it, it became easier to treat a wound that I actually opened up.
Well, see, that's what we were talking, or what I was trying to say, even in our last episode. There has to be enough humility to want to grow. So even though you're not perfect, which is everyone on this planet, right? We might as well accept. First of all, we need to accept that we're not perfect. The problem with, I think, with dating apps is we try to present a perfect side of us.
Yeah.
See, and that will be very disappointing, as you mentioned, that imperfection is going to leak out. It can't help it. You can't help it. It will leak out. But at least if there is a commitment to growth, personally and in this relationship, if there is a commitment to growth, then maybe we can make this work. But if there is no commitment to growth, then it will stagnate and you'll destroy the relationship in the process.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I think just to clarify with what you said, no, kasi I think it's very important na when you say all of those things, like all of your the areas to work on with your potential partner, don't forget to reassure them that you're working on it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just leave it there na like, you know what, these are all of my red flags here and that's it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
one of the things also you can do is admit and say, you know what, I know I need to work on this, but right now I don't know how. I don't know how. And she might be able to have some input
Yeah.
in that area. And then, of course, like we've always said, have a mentor for that.
Very, very important. And moving forward, I think that's why, like I mentioned dito, that's where you come in. Because I think a lot of our viewers right now, they do want to date, but they also do not know how what it means to intentionally date a person, no? So very interesting. The statistics say that 56% of Gen Z adults say it's harder to date now compared to the previous generations. 20 to 32% of Gen Z report having been, as we mentioned, in a situationship. And for those who don't know, if you're probably millennial or older, a situationship is a relationship with none of the clarity and all of the confusions. And 72% of Gen Z singles say they don't want to make their first move. So let's answer the first question. What should a man do if they want to date intentionally?
You know, in our last episode, when we were talking about being single, that it's not a disease, it's not a curse to be single, regardless of your age, but that we should be intentional about that that season of your life while you're single. Be intentional, grow in that, and if for those of you that haven't seen it, go back one episode, watch it. Now, dating is the same. It has to be intentional. Don't just do something because everybody's doing it, because it's the thing to do at my age. And you have no idea what it is. Like in this case, dating. What is dating? A lot of people think, I think, that dating is simply one, getting to know the other person or just something to do. I have nothing to do right now. I'd like to go out on coffee, I have coffee, but I don't want to do it by myself. So I'll just ask one of my friends or go to an app and do whatever you do on apps, right? And stuff like that. But dating is, the way I understand dating is that dating by itself is not the point. Dating has to the dating has to point to something. Just like being single, it's to point you to something, right? You don't just stay single and remain there passively. So the same thing with dating. You don't just date for the sake of dating. I want to be able to bring this somewhere. And the point of that is to get married, right? Now, we'll talk about the marriage part later on. But now we're in the dating. That's the goal. It's not just so you can hang out, have a good time. And there's nothing wrong with that, hanging out, having a good time. But if you are dating because you want to get to know someone, you want to spend time with someone, the question is why? Why do I want to spend time with this particular woman? Right? Now, if you just have money to burn, then by all means go ahead and do that. But if you're serious about dating, then understand the purpose of dating is so that I get to know this person, so that if I want this to move on to the next stage, which is to have a romantic relationship and hopefully go to bring her up the altar, right? Then I need to understand that dating must be intentional in that I have to have the right questions, because I'm trying to get to know this person, not just so I know what your favorite color is, but as a potential partner in life. Then there are certain things that you will just need to know. And the most, I think, not the most important, but the most foundational has to begin with yourself. You need to know you. Because how will I know if this woman fits in my life if I don't know where I'm going? So, normally, like when I counsel young people in church, I would say, you got to know what your calling is first. Because you're the guy, you're the driver. She's going to be a passenger, she's going to ride with you. Now, as a woman, if I were a woman, I would say, okay, where are you going to take me? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Then I need to decide, can I see myself there in 10 years with you? Right? Because if that's not where I'm called to go, doesn't matter how handsome you are, how intelligent you are, and how fat your account is, but that's not where I'm going. So whether you're male or female, you need to know God's call on your life. You need to know your purpose. Maybe you're not religious, but at least you need to know where you're going. See, Where am I going to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now? I know that's a difficult question to answer, but you have to have some idea. Otherwise, you're coasting through life, and anywhere the wind blows, you'll just fly there. You'll be like a dead leaf floating wherever the wind blows. You got to be like a sailboat. Yes, you need the wind, but you can steer. You have to know where you're going so that you will know if this is the right woman to take along with you. Now, when that happens, now I can ask questions and say things like, not necessarily using these words, but weave it into your relationship. Like, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? So even though I'm the guy, I want to know what you see for yourself, because then that's going to help me know if we can walk together. The Bible says in Amos 3:3, how can two walk together lest they be in agreement? If her direction is to go to Quiapo and my direction is to go to Caloocan, we're going to have a problem. Somebody's going to have to give up their dream, or we're going to give up on this marriage relationship. See? So the purpose of dating is to really find out not what your favorite food is, your favorite vacation spot. You can include all of those. I'm not saying don't. But be intentional. I want to know where you're going and if we can walk together. Then have a set of questions that will draw that out. See? That way, it's especially, in our last episode, some are 32 years old, 35 years old, still single, don't know what to do, and all of that. Start there. Where do I want to go? Because here's the thing. A woman, no matter how independent she is and how intelligent she is, she still wants to have a relationship that works. And she wants a relationship where both can grow. Not both of you are tugging against each other.
Yeah.
See? That's tiring. That's probably more tiring than just swiping on an app, or scrolling on an app, a dating app. That's going to be more tiring. So understand it begins with you. Where am I going? What kind of woman do I need in my life? See, and that comes with your conversations with your Heavenly Father. Now, once we start dating, then I can bring in those questions without making it sound like an interview, right? And if you see that, wow, this woman is very interesting, and but we're not going in the same direction, but I'd like to keep her as a friend, then that's as far as it goes. We will be friends. We can continue to see each other, not exclusively, but be part of a group so that we can become friends and it doesn't go more romantic than that. Because now you are intentional. I'm looking for someone that can help me fulfill my calling and who I can complement also in their calling. So if our calling is not complementary or not similar, we're going to pull on each other and something's going to break.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is intentional dating. See?
What about you? Do you have any experiences on that, how to be intentional? Because I'm genuinely curious. What are the things that you learned from your parents when it comes to dating intentionally?
Well, I've experienced intentional dating and unintentional dating.
So
Because,
there's the contrast.
yeah, I mean, with Bianca, my girlfriend, no woman can hold a candle next to her in my eyes. But, meaning no one can compare.
Okay.
Right?
Learned something new, huh?
But in terms of me, because I make up half of the relationship, I was very unintentional as a man in my younger years. I was very immature and insecure in many different ways. And so one thing I noticed was with my previous relationships, the ones that failed, and thank God they failed. But one of the things I noticed, part of the reason why it failed also, of course, because I'm half of it, right? Is because I was very unintentional. The way I saw relationships at that point of my age or point of my life at that time was the purpose of a relationship is to make me happy. So it was always about what can I get out of the relationship? What benefits, what happiness can I experience because of the relationship? There was no looking forward. There was no what is my purpose in life and what is the type of partner I need. There was no, okay, if my goal is marriage one day, how should I be treating the dating stage? None of that mattered to me. Partly also because at that point in my life, I had no plans of marrying any of those women. I just knew I want to have a girlfriend. That's it. And so by the time I wanted to court Bianca, and I think courtship is something that most men are unfamiliar with right now. By the time I wanted to court Bianca, and then I spoke to my parents and said, honestly, I don't know how to court. I don't really know what intentional dating looks like. But I know this woman is worth the effort. So I'm willing to learn and humble myself and understand what it takes in order to quote unquote deserve this type of woman. Right? So that's what I did. I started to learn from them the intentional dating, the intentional questions. And so when I started courting Bianca, my whole mindset and perspective of dating changed. Because when I met her and I understood her heart and her spirit, because honestly for me, if none of us had bodies, we were just spirits and souls, I'd still choose her.
Wow.
Not because of the way she looks, even though she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But it's because of who she is. It's her character. It's her personality. It's the way she thinks, the way she loves God, the way she treats family, the way she pushes me to love my family and be more, to serve my family and to serve and love God also. That's something I've never experienced from a woman. And so when I wanted to start intentionally dating her, that's when my dad already started telling me, ask the right questions. That way, you know, it's not just best foot forward. You can really understand who is this person behind everything. And so before, honestly, I've been on a date in the past before Bianca where after my 5 questions, like, my gosh, what else do I talk about? I would repeat the 5 questions because I didn't know what else to talk about anymore.
Did you ask that?
Yeah. And now I better prepared for my dates. I would choose and select the right questions, not just for her, for me to ask her, but so that it would open up the conversation and I can share about me also. So that she has a better picture of who I am and she knows what she's getting into. And so we explored so many areas of our lives to the point that even I remember her mom would ask, 8 hours? Your date was 8 hours? What are you even doing? What are you talking about?
Is that too long? Is 8 hours too long?
No, it's just that most people, when they go out on a date, it's for dinner. How long is a dinner?
Sa bagay, no? 8 hours medyo well.
Right?
Yeah.
Ours
Or a
was,
movie, but you're not talking.
Yeah. Ours was pure conversation, 8 hours
8
straight.
hours?
Yeah.
What do you talk
We would just sit down and talk about life. We would talk about how do we react when we get triggered by our parents.
That's good.
How would we react when we go through hard seasons? How do we respond to God when we go through those dry seasons? How do we react in our previous relationships when we get triggered by them and it causes us to feel insecure? So we really had a fuller picture of each other's characters, each other's red flags, each other's green flags. And so by the time I asked her to be my girlfriend, we both knew exactly who we were going to be committing to. And I never did that in any other relationship because I never knew that also. I learned it from my
But
parents.
you know, here's the thing also. When you start talking that way, and then she now says, why are you always talking about God? Why is this always about God? Right away, you know, oops, okay, red flag.
Red flag.
Maybe
Red
we're
flag.
not going to be, because you have a certain level of commitment
Yeah.
to God, right? You want to be able to have a woman that is also committed to God. And if they're saying, why do you always talk to God? Why can't we talk about sex? Why can't we talk about movies or, and there's nothing wrong with talking about movies, by the way, nothing wrong. But if they're complaining that you always talk about God, talking about the Bible, how did you, I was just reading this in the Bible. How do you understand this? What does this mean to you? What insight do you have about this narrative in David's life or something like that? Then you know right away, okay, this cannot really move forward. If she's not as interested in God as I am, everybody has their own red flags.
Yeah.
Right? This just happens to be ours.
Mm.
We want someone who is committed to God. And If you're not and she's not, then you might get along. But if you are and she's not, or vice versa, there'll be problems.
Yeah.
That's why intentional dating is important. And it's really more conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
See? But you put it in such a way like it's not an interview, right?
Yes.
Punta ka
That's
doon,
right.
merong ano eh, no? Meron kang
You have a piece of paper.
Okay.
There's a lie detection.
Name po?
Photo.
Age 46.
But see,
Yeah.
I think that was so important because especially in our when we started dating, we weren't distracted by doing so many activities. We would literally just sit down, eat, and just talk and explore each other. And I think that's something most people don't do. I think most people right now, and this was also me in the past, you ask someone out, you have a quick dinner, then you look for an activity like watch a movie, but you don't really get to talk. When conversations is what matters the most, because eventually when you grow old, we're both gonna have gray hair. Our skin's going to sag. We won't be the healthiest or the fittest. All we're going to have are our characters and the quality of our conversation also. And so we wanted to better set ourselves up and prepare ourselves for a relationship. So by the time we started officially and exclusively being together as boyfriend and girlfriend, I remember by that point, because I already had a much better picture of who she was, and it wasn't just feelings and infatuation, I knew right away, this is someone I'm willing to commit my life to. Because part of the way they raised me, when I submitted myself, because they always tried, I was just really rebellious.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to listen. But when I submitted myself to learning these things, and I had a different perspective of who am I going to be in the future that God is calling me to be? What is my mission going to be in life? And therefore, what is the type of partner I need? What's the type of character I need so that I can fulfill my mission? That gave me a different perspective on how to go about dating. I don't care if you're the most beautiful, but if you are a source of just pain and
Yan.
fighting and
Yeah.
but it's not worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not. Many times as men, we are more visual. So we're attracted to someone first physically. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how God created us. You know, I remember this joke I read. You know, this husband was complaining to his wife, "Why are you so beautiful and so dumb?"
Huh?
Oh,
Yeah, why are you so beautiful?
This is a joke, ah.
Yeah, and so dumb. And then she said, "The Lord made me beautiful so that you would fall in love with me. The Lord made me dumb so I would fall in love with you."
I like that. That's smart. That's smart. That's
See?
smart.
But of course, that's a joke. Okay,
That's a joke.
Okay.
If you can relate to it, well, can we say?
You know, but again, going back, intentional dating is really important because it's setting you up for your future. You're not blind dating, right? I know there's a different meaning to blind dates, but you're not dating blindly where we'll just go through this because I like how you look. I like your eyes. I like, how you think and stuff like that. I mean, it can start there, but go beyond that. Unless your plan is just to have coffee, right? You just want to have coffee. You're not really serious, but this is the person of the opposite sex. You enjoy that person's company. Then by all means, enjoy that person. Have coffee, have a few good laughs, and that's it, right? And you can even develop that friendship, but it stays friendship. And there's nothing wrong with that. What we're talking about is dating, which means there is a goal to this.
yeah.
Right.
It's not just hanging out.
I have a
Right.
question. Well, it's connected to the top questions asked by the audience. For the men, how do you think we appear in general as men when we're in a situationship or MU and we refuse to define the relationship? Because even in the movies, typically it's the woman who says, "So, what
Where
are
are
we?
we?
Where are we? Where do we stand?"
I'll answer.
Nakarelate.
I'll answer. I think, again, I'm not perfect, guys, and we're all learning here, no? But, kasi wala rin naman nagturo sa akin eh. Like,
Yeah.
no one really told me na, you're supposed to tell this person, I want to go out with you.
Now you know.
Now I know. And I did. I did. Thanks to these guys, I did. But anyways, I think if you don't
Define.
define what you guys really are, and if you're not intentional, uh, first of all, you're gonna hurt the woman. For me, you're gonna leave them hanging. You're gonna leave them confused, and they're gonna get mixed signals. Na parang, it, I'll share a quick example.
Okay.
I'll share a quick example. So, there's this time before na I really like this girl. And then, ako kasi, may effort ako eh. Like, if I like you, I'll really pour my heart into you by action. So, I would wait for her till the end of the day. And then, I would drive her to the, ano lang siya eh, like MRT. MRT. So sabi ko, sige, hatid kita MRT. Pero, while waiting for her, wala na ako ibang kailangan gawin. I have no reason to stay there. Pero hinihintay ko siya. I still wait for her to finish. And then, oh, do you need a ride? And then one time she goes, are you just waiting for me? To drive me to
Parang kilala ko
to, ano, to drive me to tawag dito, to drive me to the MRT. Sabi ko, no. Sabi ko, no. Pero clearly, I was. And then there was this one time, sabi ko sa kanya,
She might be watching this.
probably, probably. And then there's this one time, sabi ko, do you want me to drive you home? Nasa Green Hills kami, nakatira siya Makati. So sabi ko, you want me to drive you home? Sabi niya, no, it's fine. It's fine. Tapos sabi ko, no, I insist. I insist. I don't want you to ganyan. Sabi niya, okay. Ganun. I drove her. And then, nakakatawa. So, Tatawa ka. So, I drove her.
Sobrang obvious na kung sino
Oo
eh.
nga, pero, I mean, di naman lahat alam mo. So, I drove her there.
I don't know.
And then, later you'll know. And then, so I drove her there. And then, my mistake was, and if you're watching this and if you can relate to this, I hope you learn from this. Na, my mistake was, so she already got her hopes up. And then, life happened to me. And then God, I believe that was God's way of telling me na, ang kulit mo, hindi pa nga time eh. You're not ready yet. So, what happened was, since I never really defined the situation, the relationship, I just left her hanging.
Ghosted.
I ghosted her. And then all of that, messaging her every day, sending her quotes, sending her, making kamusta, how your family is, driving her to wherever and making sure she's home. Nawala. And then I realized, parang, tama ba yun? And then months later, thank you again to, of course, God and of course, mentors and brothers like you guys. Na-realize ko, shucks, mali yun ah. Then when I spoke to her, she did say na parang, well, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. There was a time where I felt like, do you really like me? What are you trying to do?
Oh, I think I might know.
What are you trying to do? And then, nagulat ako, people were talking about it. Na parang, what are you trying to do? Type mo ba ako? Or ano? So I was very confused. And then, I apologized. I'm really sorry. No woman deserves that. No woman deserves to be left hanging and guessing. So, I think that would be my two cents to that. If you're intentional, you really like a person, but make sure that you're ready. You tell them. Don't make them guess.
Yeah.
Diba? Kasi sila parang, ano ba itong nangyayari sa akin? Type ba ako nito? Hindi.
Yeah.
So, it also gives you a bad, like it just exposed who I was. Diba?
But I think what's difficult also, what's difficult also is that a lot of people are doing this.
Yeah.
Where it's not clear. Like, are we really going out, or is this just what's happening here? And like you said, it's right. When it's not clear, it leaves not just the woman, even the guy, confused. Like, where do I really want to take this?
Exactly.
Right? And so it can't move forward. It's like you have your Google Maps on, but you didn't put a destination.
Right.
So anywhere you go, that arrow is showing you where you are, but there's no path for you to follow. Any road you can take, even one way, and you're going the opposite direction, right? So that's what happens. I think people have to be more intentional about their intent.
Yeah.
And if, let's say, for example, with us. I know that it can be awkward because this is not how people talk anymore, and I think it's going to reveal a little bit of my age, but I'm not hiding my age anyway. Um, but it's easier when you say something like, you know what, I like you. I'd like to get to know you more. And it just it's like, yeah, that's it. This is where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get to know you more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making any promises that it's going to be us, but I do want to get to know you more. And then in getting to know each other, one of the things that we realize, if it, let's say you realize that maybe it's not going to work out, at least it's clear.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm not like that. I'm really more like this. And so it becomes clear that way when you break off. It's not even a break off because you just went out for dinner or lunch or whatever. But at least you both know, like, this is not going to work if it goes any deeper or farther. But hey, we're friends,
Yeah.
right? I enjoyed my lunch with you. And so it's not awkward. I used to tell them, if this girl will make a good friend and you want to keep this woman as a friend for a long time, don't date her, don't make her your girlfriend.
Yeah.
See? Because when you break up, you will destroy the friendship. It's hard to be friends with an ex. So, if you think this person is worth having in your life for a long period of time, either you get serious and marry her or keep her your friend. But don't go into that stage of boyfriend, girlfriend only to break off because you never had intentions of making it permanent. You will lose a friend.
Mm.
I've lost too many friends that way, and I have this ex. Well, she's not a friend, but when we see each other, we're friendly. And my wife knows her. We see each other. Oh, hi, how are you? Like in a supermarket or something. Nothing awkward because when we broke off, it was clean, it was clear. We didn't hurt each other. And we didn't stay friends because I went to another country. But when we do see each other, because she happens to be the wife of Barkada, my Barkada. So when I see him, she's there. It's like, hi, hi, like that. But it's not, of course, like before. I'm married, right? But we're friends. But that's more the exception. Almost all my exes, we're not friends. We're not even friends on Facebook. See, well, I don't even go on Facebook that much to begin with, but we're not even friends there because it's not cannot. You cannot.
Yeah. I think though when you touched on the situationships, for me, my personal advice, if you've been stuck in a situationship for quite some time, I think it's time to reassess and probably just end it.
Especially if you're the man.
Yeah, because like for me, I know what it's like to be stuck in a situationship for quite some time. And when you said na it makes you come across like there's no direction, you don't know where it's going. It's because I had no direction and I didn't want it to go anywhere on purpose.
And you were on purpose.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about boyfriend girlfriend. I was allergic to that conversation. Marriage, all the more I will not talk about that. I just found where we are comfortable. It's easy, but I'm not gonna commit to you. And so I'd rather just stay here and not talk about it. And so for me, in a girl's perspective, if the guy's not willing to define it and clear it up, move on, find someone else. And for the guy, just this for me, if you also are confused and you don't know, parang why is it like I don't want to move forward with this? I just want to keep it where it is. Then maybe you should call it off also. Make it clear to her because the girl also deserves that. The clarity.
Yeah.
So that she's not left on limbo.
Yeah.
Right? And she can finally move on to somebody else. And so for me, I think that's the honorable thing to do. Just call it off because I'm the same guy who was in a situationship confused and immature, but who also, when I met Bianca, I wanted to be as clear as possible that I want to date you exclusively for the purpose of being able to marry you one day.
But here's the white elephant in the room, okay? Because the way our conversation is going right now, some person now might be saying, you guys make it sound like it's so serious. I just want to, enjoy myself. I'm 15 years old. I'm not ready for a serious relationship. Thinking of I'm 15, right? So what should I do if I'm 15 years old? Well, this would be my answer to you. Study, right? Study your algebra, study your physics, study your do well in school. Oh, boyfriend, girlfriend? No, 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 not yet. My rule with my kids, which they broke,
I love the
you
bang.
know, was no boyfriend or girlfriend until you've graduated from college and are employed. Because if they're not employed, where will they get the money?
You.
Exactly. So I might as well date that girl, right? I'm paying for it, right? But they get all the benefits. No, 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 no. You work, right? Otherwise, you have no business dating. So my rule for them was no boyfriend or girlfriend because at that age, when you're in school, unless of course you're going MBA or you're taking medicine, which takes forever. You know, by the time you graduate, you have your senior citizens card already. You know, of course, being facetious here, but unless it's like that, study. Your parents are paying good money, not for you to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. And for me, my opinion is at that at that stage of your life when you're in school, a boyfriend or girlfriend is a distraction. Okay, not an inspiration. That inspiration might be only in the beginning because you're still kilig. You're still excited about this new relationship and stuff like that. But when you break off, you can't eat, you can't study, you can't concentrate. That's a distraction. And that's bound to happen because you're still too immature to be thinking of something seriously, right? Now, by the time you graduate, you have a better understanding of what you want in life, at least better than when you were in high school. So you know more or less what you want in life, where you're going, hopefully, what kind of man or woman you want in your life. Then you can go on intentional dating because now you know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all you have is what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Oh, I like that too. What else can you talk about?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. So, dating, in my opinion, and this is not in the Bible or any rule book, except in my family with them, dating should be for later. You know, and I know, for example, that we have some pastors that have decided also to adopt that ruling for them. Um, I don't want to make it a rule for the church and say, all of you students, no dating, because I can't find that in the Bible. But based on the way I grew up, based on my experience, and based on what I've learned through the years growing up, and I want what's best for my kids, boyfriend, girlfriend, I highly discouraged. But when they did break that rule, and they still had girlfriend, I didn't come down hard on them. I said, well, maybe, I told my wife, I said, maybe they need to learn a little bit what it feels like to have a broken heart. And so we let them. And of course, their hearts got broken. And then they came crying and stuff like that. And it says, well, at least now you know why we gave that rule. See? And then they decided to obey after that. So we're not going to come down hard because it's not like it's a sin and it's clear where it says clearly in the Bible, no dating until you've graduated. I mean, there's nothing like that. It's just a rule that I made because my parents didn't care about that when I was the one growing up. My mom gave me anyway, only two rules. Give me good grades and don't ever tell me somebody got pregnant because of you. See, at least not till you're married. So those are the only two rules. Give her good grades. So I stayed honor section all my, since grade 2 till I graduated. And I made sure nobody got pregnant because of me anyway, right? I was very careful about that because those were the only two rules that guided my life. Everything else, I wanted to smoke, I wanted to drink. My parents couldn't say anything. I have high grades. As far as I know, nobody's pregnant because of me. So they couldn't stop me, right? But was it wise? Was it a good thing? No. So I had to be a little bit stricter with my kids so that they don't make the same mistakes as I do. And I think that's also why sometimes the younger generation, it's what do you call it, situationship.
Situationship.
And even that's a tongue twister. um, that's why nothing's clear, because I don't even know where I want to take this. I'm not ready to take this anywhere. It's my best friends have girlfriends, so why not me?
Yeah.
But why do you need this? I just want to keep up with the Joneses.
But just to add, when you mentioned a 15-year-old boy saying, it's not that serious, I'm still so young. The relationship might not be serious, but all of the consequences are.
Yeah.
The heartbreak on both ends are serious.
Yeah.
The trauma on both ends are serious that you
Yeah.
carry. If you don't heal from it, that 15-year-old problem you'll carry until you're 30
Yeah.
or 35. If you experience getting cheated on, that will affect all of your future relationships.
Yeah, your paradigms will change. Your idea of men or women will change.
Yeah.
Because of these painful experiences. That's
It's
right.
easy to get into, but the weight of a relationship is much heavier than I think people realize.
And you know what's interesting? Medically, there's this part of the brain that remains shut, inoperative, until a certain hormone is released. I've forgotten all the names, right? I read this a long time ago. Until a certain hormone is released that triggers that part of the brain, which is connected to wisdom. So before that age, and it's released when you turn about 25. So prior to that, you need a mentor
Yeah.
because you are not wise enough.
I had no wisdom.
So you may be intelligent.
Yeah.
You may be valedictorian material, and know all of your maths and algebras and science and biology and all of that. But that doesn't mean you're wise. You're just intelligent, which is good, but not wise. Not till you're 25. Now, it helps when you are mentored, when you have wise parents to mentor you, or if not your parents, somebody else to mentor you, because um, it will give you a head start compared to other people. And by the time but all that wisdom that's being imparted is just knowledge. It's not yet personal. Until that part of your brain is triggered and becomes operational, then wisdom begins to operate in your life. And that's why having a relationship before that it's not sinful, but I would say not advisable.
It's not wise.
It's not wise to do that yet. There are too many things you don't know, even about the opposite sex. You'll end up hurting them. They'll end up hurting you. I mean, what are the chances that a 15-year-old guy will date a 25, 30-year-old woman who is wise? And if that 25, 30-year-old woman will date that 15-year-old, I will question her wisdom.
Yeah.
See? Because I remember, when I was in studying in Europe, I remember I was 18 and I was dating someone who was 36. I remember because she was twice my age.
Twice your age?
Yeah, twice my age. Only because she was really sexy, really pretty. She was an FA, a flight attendant, and apparently she saw me like a son.
That's kind
Red
of weird. That is
And
weird.
but in fairness to her, she was doing a favor to her best friend, because her best friend's husband was my best friend. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was my best friend, but he was much older than me. I was a student. He was already working. And he saw me like a son that needed guidance while I was in school. He helped me with my documents and all that stuff like that. We were going to their wedding. They were going to get married. And he invited me, but I didn't have a date. And so he told his wife, "Oh, your friend that's coming to the wedding, why not have her date Joseph?" And so, "Oh yeah, she'll be happy to do that because she's an FA. She's very accommodating, and all. So that's how she saw me.
All right.
I just had this huge crush on her. I asked her if we could have coffee after the wedding and all that stuff. And she said yes, because, this young boy, doesn't have any friend. and I'll spend time with him. But that was it. And here I was so heartbroken because she didn't see me that way. And she had a boyfriend who was a skiing instructor, and stuff like that. But I just, looking back, I found it funny because my intentions were so different from hers, right? And I was not ready to say anything because she was much, much older than me, and if I make my intentions known, she might shut me down right there. But at least this way, I can at least have coffee with her, you know. But again, going back, intentional dating, I think, is a very important part of a person's um, journey to put order in his life. But the dating scene is not just, it has to have it has to have purpose. It has to have a goal. Otherwise, you're playing games
Yeah.
and you're playing with emotions.
So now that we know that men have to become more intentional, it means they also need to know what to look out for and what to avoid. And so I want to ask you guys, because this is another question from the audience, what are green flags and red flags that men should be looking out for when dating? So why don't you start?
For me, if they're hot. I'm just kidding.
Red flag.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Kidding, guys. For me, a green flag, if you're dating, would be someone who believes in you. Believes in you, because we live in such a very critical world. It's like it's automatic for us to see the negative in a particular person already. But a green flag, if you're looking for someone who believes in you, na who does not point out your flaws, but instead corrects them with grace and just constantly reassures you, because that's what men need. I realize, and I've experienced it with even just friends, telling that, I believe in you, you're doing great, you're good at these things, and it helps. It helps, and I believe that will push you towards that direction that God wants. Now, for the red flag, I would say someone who compares you to other men. If there are ladies watching this, don't do that because it hurts. Parang it's unfair to compare an apple to a mango. There's different roots, different backgrounds, different tastes, diba? So don't do that because it hurts. It makes the man feel like, bakit mo pa ako pinili? Why are you dating me? Date him na lang. Diba? So that's a green and red flag for me. Yeah.
What about you?
For me, a red flag would be a woman who is constantly complaining about everybody. That everybody is wrong. Everybody has a problem. Everybody needs to change. Everyone except them. And to me, that is one of the biggest red flags, because I know that if I get into a relationship with this type of woman, well, one, that's a narcissistic characteristic.
Yeah.
Because everyone has to adjust to you, but everyone has to just simply accept you because you think you're perfect. That's gonna be a hard life to live with a woman like that. A green flag would be a woman who pushes you towards God and family, even in the seasons that you're upset with God and family. And I've experienced that with Bianca. Na the few times when I would argue with family, she would try to be the voice of reason, who says, no, you're still called to honor your parents. That's still your sister or your brother. You have to reach out. And so, to me, I'm trying to look for a kakampi. Right? Because it will feed my ego. But she, instead of adding fuel to the fire, she helps diffuse the situation. And same with God. When I would question God or doubt God or rebel against God, she would always be a voice that will help me draw closer to God. And that's something I really value, because I know that I will not always be a stable rock. There will be times that I wrestle with relationships and emotions. But I can trust that she will not be the cause that my relationship with God and family is severed. Instead, she will help me build bridges instead of burn them.
Yeah.
So that's for
That's
me.
good. Well, for me, red flag would be cruelty. Um, it's easy to be cruel. It's very easy to be cruel. Even a child can be cruel and call you names and things like that. It takes a tremendous amount of security and strength to be gentle and encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
But when a person is cruel, mentally, the way they speak to you, emotionally, the way they make you feel like you're worth less than nothing, you're less than dirt, and stuff like that, talks down on you, says how bad you are, and things like that. For me, no one, it doesn't matter who the person is, nobody deserves to be spoken to that way. Because we're all still made in the image and likeness of God. Even the worst criminal on the planet is made in the image and likeness of God. Maybe broken, but still bears to some degree that image and likeness of God. And therefore, the fact that a person is human, that person deserves some measure of respect.
Amen.
And so, anyone that's cruel to me, major red flag. If they abuse you in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and sexually. When I say sexual abuse, I'm not even talking about having sex against your will. I'm talking about even bringing it up in the first place, and you're not even married yet. If you really love me, right? No, because he should protect her. She must feel safe in his presence. If anybody takes advantage of you that way, major red flag.
What about the opposite? Because we're talking to men.
Well, it's the same thing. If the woman is abusive, she has a princess complex, everything is about me. Now they say narcissism, right? That's a major red flag. If she takes advantage of you in any way, instead of someone who's a giver, she gives encouragement, she's gracious with her words, gracious in her actions, she builds you up, like what both of you were saying, those would be green flags. And so for me, a green flag also would be someone who has self-control, right? Because both the guy and the girl, the man and the woman, are imperfect, they will eventually do or say something that will hurt, that will be hurtful. And it might not be intentional, right? They might do something that will trigger the other. But they have enough self-control and enough emotional fortitude or strength to be able to say, maybe they didn't mean to say it that way. Maybe they didn't have a good day and is coming across a little rough right now. I will understand. And when she's calmed down, I can ask her, what you said kind of hurt me, but where were you coming from?
Yeah.
How was your day? Where you don't just fly off the handles. How dare you talk to me that way? And, no, a guy should not be that way. A man has to be sensible. And I'm not saying bottle down your feelings. There are creative and constructive ways to deal with that, but simply exploding. The Bible says that a fool vents his feelings, but a wise man controls it. See, so you want to be wise, right? You want to be wise. So learn how to control. Don't be trigger happy. She says something and boom, you're up there and cussing and cursing, and that's a little boy. You stay away from them. Stay away. Ladies, you don't deserve to be treated that way. So
And men, you don't deserve to be treated that way.
if you get treated that way, that should be a red flag. Maybe it's time to end that relationship. But if you are in a relationship right now and that person is amazing, you need to grow up. You need to grow up and match that, because you will lose that person. Sayang.
Yeah.
Sayang.
Don't get left behind, guys.
Yes.
Don't get left behind.
And if you continue walking with us, no man or woman will get left behind.
That's right. And speaking of these men and women,
Let's
we
hear from
do
them.
have 3 interesting questions that we would like to cover.
This is like our special guest, pero hindi pa siya tao. Yan. All right.
Here we go.
But yung tanong dito, Chester, red flag ka ba talaga?
Oo.
Just kidding. Sige, I'll go
Show
first.
the card first to the
I'll
camera.
go first kasi it's
To this camera.
this camera. Where is it? Where am I?
Yeah.
Here. All right. All right. Okay. So since mine is short, I'll go first. Sabi ni Wise Boysenberry 266. The question is, bakit mas madaling mang-ghost kaysa magpaalam? Diyan question lang. Bakit mas pinipili ng iba na mag-ghost instead of sabihin na hindi na interested? Ganun ba talaga kahirap magsabi ng maayos? Bakit kailangan iwanan sa ere? Curious lang sa honest perspective nyo. Talagang binigay mo to sa akin eh, no?
Can you kind of say that also in English for the
Oh, sure. Right. So the question is, why is it easier to ghost a particular person or a specific person that you are dating instead of saying goodbye properly? Right. So ghosting, for those who don't know, it's a term used na
when you kill someone.
when you kill someone, they become Casper the Ghost. But when you kill someone emotionally, that's ghosting. Yeah.
Okay.
Bars. So, yun. So if you don't, properly say goodbye to each other, just like what I did earlier. But I said sorry, by the way. Defensive. So why is it easier? I think it's easier because there is no maturity that's involved in it. And I think as men or women, I don't know. Like I don't know if women also ghost, but I speak for myself. Now it's easier to ghost because you don't have to have that hard conversation and admitting to yourself that, look, this is not working out and I've made all of these mistakes. Because it's like when you have that conversation with the person that you're dating or the person who you're supposed to be with, it's like you're admitting to them that you're wrong. Eh. So it's like putting yourself in the spotlight that I made all of these mistakes. And not all men, especially those men who still need to grow, they still need to grow on their humility. But I just want to shine light rin na, guys, don't ghost. You're better than that. If you don't know how to properly communicate, ask for help. Ask for help from people who do know how to say it in the proper way. But ghosting leaves people hanging. Ghosting leaves people guessing, and no one deserves that, whether you're a man or a woman. So it's easier because it's only a sign that you need to grow your communication skills. That's to answer your question. Wise Boysenberry 266.
All right.
Well, mine, I feel like I'm gonna bump with a lot of heads on this one. It's interesting because this was from a woman, and honestly, I didn't expect women to be watching our show. I thought it would just be mainly men, but we are grateful for the women who do tune into the show
Send
and
this to the men.
subscribe. But this one is from a woman, and her question is, why is the dating scene so hard right now? It's honestly exhausting. The dating scene today feels like another responsibility I have to deal with. And it's just getting so tough. I don't understand why guys have no emotional intelligence or self-awareness. You're grown adults. Your frontal lobes are fully developed. And yet you're still acting like that. Honestly, it's so frustrating and disappointing. I think of my past experiences and I just find disappointment like, never mind. Anyone else feel this way? Well,
It's men like this that we have podcasts like
Yes,
this.
that's right.
yeah, but you know what? Since you're the one who asked the question, you know what? First thing I'd ask is, why do you even accept those type of men?
Boom.
And why did you attract those type of men? I think that's something worth exploring also because I don't believe opposites attract. We're not batteries or magnets. Is it magnets? We attract people who are like us and we accept the love we think we deserve. And so I'm not judging you, but just because you've experienced a few bad men doesn't mean all men are bad, doesn't mean all men are trash. Because unless you've dated every single living man in this world, it would be an unfair assumption also. So I think you're right in some sense that there are many immature boys out there, but the truth is there are also many immature girls out there. A lot of women want mature men, but not all women actually are intentional about themselves and mature themselves too. And so I think if I were to talk to this person, if she was my friend, or even if this was a guy, I'd say, you know what, you keep attracting the wrong type of people that you claim are people that you don't deserve. I think I would start first by looking at myself. What are things I can control? Things that I can grow? Things that I can do to mature myself so that I will be able to attract the right person that I believe I deserve. But don't lose faith. There are many men out there who are intentional, who are growing, who are listening to podcasts like this, and who want to be able to be better than who they used to be.
All right. This question, I love this question. You know, it's in Taglish, so I'll just make English the Tagalog. No, would you settle for a green flag girl, but you're not physically attracted to her? She gives you peace. She's your cheerleader. She's sweet. She's accomplished, but not a threat to your masculinity. She supports you in everything. She cooks well. She treats your family and friends genuinely kind. But you're just not attracted to her. She's not ugly. She's just not your choice. Would you settle for her in marriage?
Bro, ikaw ata yung red flag.
Ikaw ata yung
Joke lang.
choosy, pare.
Can you show
Dahil
the
mo
card?
okay na nga eh. Okay na nga.
Interesting. But
Bro.
good question.
This is called jackpot.
That's true.
Okay? But seriously, you find someone that gives you peace. She builds you up. She's your cheerleader. And then she can cook. And then she treats your family and friends well. My gosh, how many men can say that about the women in their lives? I'm sure there are many out there. But you're not married yet, and she's treating you this way already. This is not just a green flag. This is like 100 green flags, bro. Let me just say this. Physical beauty is overrated. At the end of the day, and you heard us say this earlier, we all, God willing, grow old. And we're going to get wrinkles, we're going to get white hair, some will even lose it, some will lose their teeth, and gravity wins. Our chest becomes a stomach. You know?
What?
All the 300 pounds that you're building up here will be 300 pounds that will come down here someday. You know what? And here's the thing. At the end of the day, so when you've been 20 years or more married, there's only one thing that you're really married to. It's character.
Yeah.
See? And if that character comes also with good looks, you said here, you know, hindi ka physically attracted sa kanya, hindi naman siya pangit. So, the person is good looking. Maybe not really your type, but good looking. Hindi siya pangit. So, good looking siya. I would say, if this person loves you, even though you're thinking all of this, but they still love you anyway, bring her to the altar tomorrow, you know, and secure her, because this is a girl that is a keeper. This is a keeper, okay? And here's the thing I want to say. I've also heard of people who got married because it was arranged. It still happens, by the way. It was arranged, or because all the credentials were right, the feelings were not there. But they got married anyway. And they learned to love each other, you know, because they respected each other. If the person is not abusive, it's not a bad person, just not your type physically, you can still love that person, because the kinder, you know what's a greater beauty? Kindness. Because I remember counseling this couple. The woman was I think she was a beauty queen, you know, or a model. And she was pretty, she was gorgeous, she was sexy, but she had a bad character. right? And he wanted to end it. He said, I can't take, they were not married, but he wanted to, I can't take this anymore. And in my mind, I was thinking, she's so pretty. Why will you want to end this? And I realized later on, much later on, that bad character will make even a pretty looking woman ugly. Because beauty is skin deep, but bad character is to the bones.
Yeah.
And that needs to change. You've got someone here that's really good. And I would not say, would you settle for her? This is not settling. No, this is not settling. Bro, if you're not this good, siya yung kawawa.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the truth is, no matter how good looking this guy is, there are better looking guys also.
There will be better looking guys. Now, if you are also good for her and she's treating you this way, my gosh. I mean, don't wait to be struck by lightning. Marry her unless you're 15. Okay? Then don't marry her yet. Right? But if you're in a marriageable age, she's marriageable age as well, your parents like her parents like you, I mean, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baka maunahan ka pa, kaya gawin mo na yan bukas.
If you keep her hanging and she says, this guy's not bringing me anywhere, she might end up
Sayang.
looking for someone else.
That's right. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is, if you've already gone through your singleness stage, you've been intentional about growing yourself, and now you're ready to take the next step, then the next step requires you to be intentional also. And that means intentional dating. Not dating just for your feelings, dating just to feel happy, but dating to really explore whether or not this person is worth all of the time, the investment, and the energy, so that you can set yourself up for a fruitful and joyful and peaceful relationship. That's our episode today. Our next episode, we're going to explore marriage next. But we're glad that you were able to join us here. We thank you again. This is No Man Left Behind.
So again, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, again, please, we'd love to interact with you. Maybe your comment will be the next question that we'll have in this box, no?
Or the next episode.
Or the next episode, right? So please don't hesitate. And of course, share this to a friend who wants to date intentionally.
So this is No Man Left Behind. We want you to know that this is a podcast by men for men. And we're not saying we're perfect, but we'd love to grow together with you and make better men out of the Filipinos. We love you guys. God bless you.